We're back on Friday, September 20th for the Rare Emergency Podcast. We don't often do this, but as Lennon said, there are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. And in the field of just sick, nasty depravity and sexual sinuendo, vice, and scandal, I don't know, let's run down the list here, Felix. We got Mark Robinson, Nude Africa Forum, Olivia Nuzzi, RFK.
Suck the cream out of his sister-in-law's pussy. And before you judge him for that, her asshole smells pissy, which is good. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that the asshole smells like piss. And I got a very weird bulletin from, well, he's not my advisor anymore after this. But he said, I've noticed that a lot of older black men brag about peeing in girls' butts. And I said, that's disgusting. We do not do racial stereotyping in my replies. So I fired that advisor, but we're also taking that under consideration.
I guess, Felix, the way I'm thinking about this is like, I feel like this week began with the arrest of Puff Daddy and news of his freak-off parties hitting the mainstream. And I feel like it's closing with D.C., American politicians and the people who cover them just being like, hold my beer. If you weren't to discuss it at the beginning of this week, you're going to consider some of the most awful things imaginable by the end of this week.
If just one or two of these things happened, I would be like, what a monumentous day. But all of this together, and it is so massive that, like, it things that would have taken over the day if it had been any other time got pushed out. Chris Rufo, he turned out to be an Ashley Madison guy. And the reason we know that this isn't just like a lib doing this is because it's the leak from 2019 when Chris Rufo was just a bald guy. when he was a random bald man. And no lib knew of him. And he's like, all his supporters are like, oh, yeah, real funny. This is a tactic among libs to sign people up for fucking gay porn sites, which is that's a big insight. The Babylon Bee guy said, oh, libs always sign us up for gay porn sites, which is interesting.
Wait, what?
You know, so it's sort of like an insight to arguments he's had with his wife, perhaps. The libs did it, but he said it's attack. They find our email addresses, or like fake one, and they sign us up for like cheating websites and all this shit. But it's like nobody
knew who this guy was in 2019. Yeah,
no one, and he's absolutely stupid enough to think that, like all the guys who signed up for Ashley Madison, that there's a group of 23-year-old women, millions of them, and they're like the seers in the movie Minority Report. They're waiting in a pool of stasis, waiting for a bald, ugly, not rich or successful guy to fuck them. Oh my God. I can't wait to fuck Mark Robinson, who's also on here, the guy who's $700,000 in debt and has a gooning addiction.
The gooning lieutenant governor, I should say. I don't know if he's good. I mean, if he becomes governor after this, I mean, you simply just must respect. You simply must doff your cap, or just pass along another enormous cap to this guy. And it's like, obviously, because like this is a week that forces us to confront the horniness of public figures, and obviously, like. You're sort of like your ability to do that is dependent a lot on how disgusted by them you are in general. And it's like, it's not just the comments of Mark Robinson on the Nude Africa Forum. It's just imagining this obese moron writing them and thinking these thoughts, if not performing these acts, is very upsetting to me.
Yeah. So like, I feel like you have to be a lunatic to post on the web forum for a porn site. But like, by the way, do you know how
it's one of the most degenerate things imaginable?
It is the degenerate activity. But by the way, it surprised me to see Black Planet come back in the news, because I did not think Black Planet would ever make national news. It was a weird, as I understand it, I was very young when it was in vogue, and my only personal interaction with it were when I was in middle school and I heard two black kids making fun of each other. And they were like, you're on Black Planet. No, you're on Black Planet. But it's like a quasi-dating,
Is Black Planet the forum? Is that where Nude Africa was based?
I think Nude Africa is a subset of Black Planet.
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
a subset.
You know when the government broke up Standard Oil?
Yeah.
Black Planet was the biggest website that it was part of Standard Oil, and they're like, Black Planet and Nude Africa have to be two separate things. But yeah, so he was on there, and he was like, the porn stuff is bad enough. It's bad enough how he's just jacking off to everything and anything in sight. And one of the reasons they caught him, besides him using the same email and username for everything, is that he has a very specific like system of phrases. Like dunderhead is one. I don't give a frog's fat ass. Like all these stupid phrases that only he uses, really. And he would use that, like, you know, in the context we know that he uses them in. Before this, it was like a video of, like, you know, a mom crying and be like, my son was paralyzed at Parkland. And Mark Robinson would quote the video and be like, I don't give a frog's fat ass about your wheelchair. I care about the Bill of Rights. But then it turns out he was saying that about God knows. So the first Andrew Kaczynski found him like using all these phrases. And the first instance of him saying frog's fat ass was like, I don't give a frog's fat ass where this video came from. I'm still whacking my pud to it. You know? By the way, did you know that, like, I thought that Mark Robinson was like a respected like military officer or like a lawyer or something, right? I thought he had
a gooner.
And he was just, well, he was a gooner, but you know the reason he got big in conservative politics? It was because there's a video of him in a town hall after Parkland, like probably saying all the stuff he said on the gooning site, but just like saying like, I don't care. I still want my gun. And it went viral on Facebook. And so he was just like a local moron. And they were like, this guy should run for fucking governor. And then it turns out he's the most insane pervert of all time.
Okay, I mean, there's peeping and creeping. There's constant jacking off. And like, I guess what I like about this story is that it is, as you pointed out, Felix, it is a story about internet forums and like the specific internet community of porn-brained, cum-drenched lunatics who have nonetheless found a sort of a community. And what I like about it is that Mark Robinson was still the asshole in that community of porn-addicted peepers and creepers. And like, this one thing I pulled here. I forget what article this is from. It's just from some of the comments he led. This is a comment about an exchange on the Nude Africa forum. It says, in a largely positive forum discussion featuring a photo of two men kissing after one returned from a military deployment, Robinson wrote the sole negative comment. That's some old sick-ass faggot bullshit, he wrote.
So he's always been a conservative stalwart, defending traditional. But yeah, he was like, I consider porn forums, especially around this time, this was like the golden age of forums, like the lowest of the low. Because it is the lowest of the low as far as like having a common, unifying thing among people. It's not really a hobby like even video games are. Your only commonality with these people is like how much you love jacking off to the same type of thing. But even in that, there can be community and commonality. And these guys, most of them sounded pretty forward thinking. They, you know, in like 2007 or whatever, are like, oh, that, you know, good for these gay soldiers. But yeah, there's always a forum villain. There always is. And he is the perfect, he's out straight out of central casting, as President Trump would say, as the forum villain. The exact type of guy that kind of unifies the forum and everyone hating him.
I just want to read from, this is from the New York Magazine write-up of the Mark Robinson sleaze and innuendo here. It opens like this. Of all the politicians in recent memory who have been caught saying horrible things in their past, few rival Mark Robinson in terms of sheer depravity. On Thursday, CNN reported that Robinson, North Carolina's lieutenant governor and the Republican nominee for governor, was once a frequent commenter on a porn site called Nude Africa, where between 2008 and 2012 he labeled himself a black Nazi, praised Adolf Hitler, yearned for the return of slavery, confessed to spying on showering women at a gym, referred to Martin Luther King Jr. as Martin Lucifer Coon, and a fucking commie who is worse than a maggot. And though has publicly characterized transgender people as satanic filth, described trans-themed porn as fucking hot.
Yeah, what he said about trans porn was, I think, like a great mindset into how he thinks, because he's like, it's amazing. You take the man out without taking the man out. So he's
no, that is brilliant. I mean,
yeah. But the interesting thing is, like, probably 80% of his comments are just like the most disgusting sex stuff you've ever read.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff.
Oh, I'm going to read them
like,
in a second.
Yeah, the stuff where he's like, I just put my head into my sister-in-law's cunt and yodeled. Oh my God. Have you ever tried to chew bubble gum out of your sister-in-law's placenta? I have. It tastes great. And that, or like talking about how much he fucking whacks off, or like some gross story, like the spying on the showers, talking about how he still jacks off to
Keeping
it.
and creeping.
Which is insane. To be like 43 and jacking off to
the scene from Porky's where they look in the shower. Yeah.
At least they were like in college in Porky's, if I'm remembering right. He's like in middle school in this story. But then, the stuff that isn't, the probably in the off-topic forum, he's just unbidden like, Hitler rocks. Some people need to be slaves. They're too stupid not to be slaves, which I don't know how he considers himself like, in a Brave New World situation, he would be like an alpha. He's declared bankruptcy like 20 times.
Well, Felix,
he's probably doing it right now.
In his comments about slavery, he was just like, he said, like, yeah, I think they should bring slavery back. I'd buy a few. And I'm
how?
like, what, was there $7,000 in late fees to the gooning store, to the gooning closet? What are you talking about?
Money, Mark. I mean, not even temporarily embarrassed millionaires, temporarily embarrassed slave owners. Like, how would Mark Robinson even put down a slave rebellion? He can't.
He'd have to hope they don't, move very fast or far.
Yeah.
I mean, God. This further on in the New York Magazine right up here, it says, one aspect of Robinson's nude Africa posts that is largely absent from his Facebook output is their lascivious tone, which tracks it was a porn site after all. But even that element of his personality was poorly camouflaged. In his memoir, Robinson writes in unmistakably horny tones about his borderline Freudian obsession with trains, which began when he was a kid, rolling underneath oncoming locomotives and experiencing a rush as they screamed overhead. He confessed to giving them borderline sexual nicknames like Big Dirty and stalking them across Guilford County trying to talk to them. There's a Big Dirty, he would say aloud when he spotted one, and he's trying to hide from me, but I see him. Oh, this is like a Faulkner novel. This is like the town simpleton who is raped with a corn cob or something like that.
Yeah, this is like the prose of a man who has spent the first 20 years of his life living in an outhouse. Like the inbred Braithwaite from Red Dead Redemption. But I this is so sad. There are so many cases like this in the world of people who were born too early, and so they had to become like a Republican asshole. But let's look at the facts here. Sexual connection to trains and has a deep mental categorization of different types of trains to the point that he is lying under them to get the physical sensation of a train passing. A chaser?
Yep.
Taught like, God, if this guy had been born in 85 or something, such a different life than the one he had. He would have been going to Chapo live shows. I'm pretty sure.
And then, like, obviously, this story was breaking as we were recording yesterday, and the thing was, like, there was like all these things coming out about how like the North Carolina GOP was trying to get him to drop out of the race, and he was, staying in it. But like, you have to imagine like that they were at least aware of what was coming down the pike. But you said like about how sort of perfectly on the same wavelength he is with a certain kind of the current moment of internet induced degeneracy and depravity. and in conjunction with extreme racist, misogynistic, hard right politics. But like, what exactly in any of these porno posts would negatively affect his stature as the Republican candidate for governor of North Carolina? Because, I mean, the obvious answer would be like to him expressing a fondness for the transgender genre of pornography. But don't half of the guys in the GOP are into that. Half of men in general are into that. Like, I just don't think it's like you can point out the hypocrisy about like how evil his stances on trans people are now. But like, I think we're past a certain point now when it comes to to I don't know, just like the sexual tastes of politicians.
Yeah, I mean, like, more than anything, the fact that he used the same name for everything, the same fucking email, and the way that he's trying to get out of it is by saying, it was AI, which would be an incredibly specific AI prompt. What would that prompt look like? What just for a second, like, AI is not that good to write any of this, but, you know, and being on Ashley Madison, most of all, the disqualifying element is that he's incredibly stupid. But yeah, you're right, that none of the actual content of the stuff is like a deal breaker in Republican politics, especially not now when no one goes away anymore.
I mean,
if you haven't noticed.
Who under the age of the 30 or 40 active in GOP politics doesn't admire Adolf Hitler and trans women?
Well, you know, hates trans women.
Well,
hates sexualizes
them, but
has
sexualizes
a fetishistic thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it all fits. I did get one Mark Robinson defender, though, like an earnest defender of him, who was like, just like, I can't figure out what type of person this is. He's like the inverse of, for fans of lib Twitter, Lakota Man. He was a purported Cherokee guy who was arguing with me, and he said, "Oh yeah, no one's ever lied on a porn forum before." In response to the Robinson sister-in-law posts, which you know, I guess that will be their defense of this. Like,
he was obviously lying. I mean, I think it was pretty clear he was sharing a sexual fantasy, but also bragging to his fellow porn degenerates.
So this has been exactly like Newsroom, because after I posted about the sister, people were like, his wife is an only child. And, you know, that lended more credence to the idea that he was born at the wrong time, because what could he have been? A shipper. He could have been one of those guys where he's like, all the members of One Direction have fucked each other and they're going to fuck me. But, you know, so I was pursuing that story for a while, like Jeff in Newsroom. Then it turns out, no, his wife does have two sisters. One of them is in the tank for Kamala. But like in either of that,
I was like the head of the news corporation coming down while you're doing your tweets, and I'm like, post it. He didn't have his wife, didn't have any sisters, and then you're just staring me down. And then, like, we're getting confirmation his wife does indeed have two sisters. You're a goddamn poster, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise.
yeah. It was breathless. I mean, but I think, like, we all probably agree he did not fuck this. Like, not that he's too good of a person, but the way he described it,
It's describing sex from like the perspective of like your only interaction with sex is jerking off 9 times a day to hardcore pornography.
Yeah, this is very embarrassing to admit, but when I was like 13 or 14, I would read on like my gaming forums like guys who were also doing this, like guys who were like also lying about having sex, and they would do things like just a thread in the off topic forum that's like, here's my guide to what races fuck the best. It's just a guy who you've seen make 70,000 posts about Sonic saying disgusting shit. Don't fuck an Indian girl, your dick will smell like curry. And it's like, I've seen you like post about the Sonic movies, which no one else in the world has seen. The animated Sonic movies for children. But I would, not around my friends that I knew well, because I think I knew I would be caught out. But around people like newer kids I was meeting, I would try to replicate some of that stuff to make it sound like I had had sex. And it is very funny to see a 47-year-old who has kids do that. like
I'm gonna read from the one that that you found the other day, or like that you posted this, and this is from Mark Robinson's. This is from September 4th, 2011. This is from Mark Robinson posting on Nude Africa. I'm back. We took a break for a little bit, but picked back up where we left off. I hooked up with my wife's sister, and boy, was it good. That pussy is still creaming, and that asshole is still slick, shiny, and pissy smelling. I fucked her good, and after my dick was coated with her cream, we 69'd. She sucked my dick and balls clean and tossed my salad while I licked the cream out of that pussy and sucked her huge clit. And tongue fucked that pissy asshole good and deep. I know it's bad, but I can't help it. That crack is like crack, and I'm hooked. By the way, as I was saying this, Catherine was just going, oh, from the kitchen over and over. Probably because this turns her on so much, but you know.
Women don't like to admit, but this is pretty hot shit.
Yeah, this is pretty good. It's pretty sweaty stuff.
Yeah, this is like, again, a great insight. If you are in middle school listening to this and you are, you know, another seventh grader is talking like this. A great way to prove that someone is lying is that their description of their sexual encounters sound incredibly choreographed. Like you're fucking someone and you're like, all right, I'm done licking the cream out of your pussy. Commence 69.
Transfer from 69 into pile driver position. Hold for cream pie.
Yeah, you're calling out things like a quarterback.
yeah. Omaha, kill. Did you read the ones about? There's another one. I think these are the golden shower ones. He says, "Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister." She brought in the
morning?
How is that? Yeah.
When do you go to work, Mark?
Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister. She brought along her laptop this time, and we watched some vids here on NA. The one that got us really hot was called Wet Anal. That vid got her pussy soaking wet, and y'all know what I did, right? That ass was wet, slick, and good and pissy. And I licked and sucked that pussy and asshole till my face was covered with her funky juices. Then she sucked my dick till it was good and hard, then lubed it down with wet.
Wait, so his dick wasn't hard until that?
I can't even read the rest of this, honestly. I can't even read the rest of this.
It's so fucking gross. It's so gross. Imagining this Baron Harkonnen-esque man doing any of this. He's floating around the room. He takes one huff of her pussy and he starts hitting the walls like he's a screensaver. Fucking lunatic.
He starts floating every time he sees a train. There's a big old dirty. My beautiful train. My Arrakis. My big dirty. No, yeah, I thought I was going to read these on the show, but like honestly, I can't even get through them. They're too disgusting. Oh, it's just there's so much about just piss and pussy juice and and it's just like it's the vessel that this is coming from too, because he is a disgusting ogre who is one of the most hateful creeps on the planet. You know, and I guess like this is, and like going on like these stories today. It's like it is all just like it would be one thing if people's like the embarrassing details of anyone's personal sex life are made public fodder for consumption, but like every one of these guys, and Mark Robinson being the top offender here, is, you know, the beneficiary or promoters of a political movement that offers nothing to anyone other than the opportunity to victimize other people for their sex lives. So I would say like this is all fair game, at least as far as it regards fucking Mark Robinson.
If for nothing else, like obviously, yeah, these are people who want 11-year-olds to give birth because they think just like, really, it's not even that they want to punish having sex anymore. It's that they just want to punish women and girls for any reason at all. But beyond that, it shows how fucking stupid this guy is.
Yeah.
This is one of the dumbest guys ever.
I was with Matt this morning, and I was like running through these stories that we were doing today. And he brought up a very good point that I think is the connecting through line for all of these, is that in addition to being disgusting tales of depravity, each one of these stories is an idiot test.
Yes.
Like if
Yes.
you're posting
Felix,
under
that's
your
what you
own
said
name
about
on a
Ashley
form,
Madison.
if you are entering your email into a form to have an affair, you are an idiot. I mean, I don't want to disparage Nuzzy too much, but what are you thinking? Your entire job is profiling these people. You know, you think you're going to get away with this? Or fucking Matt Gaetz being one of the most famous Republicans in the country and being like, yeah, I'm going to take an underage girl to an orgy. Just idiot take. Idiot tests all around.
Yeah, for Nuzzy, it's like, you're a journalist, and she's like, don't worry, it was just an emotional text-based relationship, which is A, weirder, I would say.
Yes.
And
yes.
B,
it's categorically worse.
And B, is this your first fucking day of being a journalist? No, don't worry, I just put everything in writing. These are all, like, I mean, like, Mark Robinson was not fooling many people. Most people, even I think a lot of his voters, or especially not his institutional supporters, were fooled that this was a smart guy. But, you know, I think it's with him. He's just like a venal, stupid guy who, the fact that he is a figure at all, the fact that he is like elected to a position besides, like, you know, one of those forum awards, like best screen caps of the Backdoor Diet series or whatever, is like an indictment of institutional national decay. But, you know, for a journalist who is vaunted as, like, you know, a rising star, a kind of smart insider, doing this in the dumbest fucking way possible is astounding.